Pretty much everybody is searching for the perfect landing. In this video, I'm going to show you how to get it. I'm Jason Miller, a full-time professional flight instructor. On the Finer Points channel, you can join me as I bring you tips and tricks that I've learned from 20 years on the flight line. Well, aviators, today's a good day. Why is it a good day, you might ask? Today, I get to fly again with Paul Duffy. You guys probably know Paul Duffy from the VFR series. Paul, after he got his private, the first thing he did was upgrade from a Cessna 172 to a Cessna 182. And today, we're going out to make sure that he's still current in the 182. So what I'm going to tell you about are just some of the challenges when you're upgrading from a Cessna 172 to a 182. That even when it's on the ground on all three wheels, it kind of sits up a little bit, like the nose is a little higher than the rest of the airplane. It's pitched up just a little bit. And for that reason, a lot of people don't protect the nose wheel enough during the flare. One of the most common bits of damage for a 182 is a nose wheel that's been knocked so hard that it kind of dents the firewall. So if you're buying one, for example, you'll always do an inspection where you look at the firewall and make sure that the nose wheel hasn't been kind of knocked back up to dent that firewall. Another problem is if you round out too high, the airplane gives up by the nose coming down, right? In a 172, it's almost like you have an endless amount of energy. As the airplane gives up, you can kind of still pull, and the main wheels come down first. In the 182, it's the nose wheel that comes down first, and this is pretty typical of many high-performance aircraft because we've got a much bigger engine up front. It's much heavier. So you have to really make sure that you're rounding out at the right height and that you're not doing this kind of blended round out and flare thing from 100 feet down like a big 747. That won't work in a 182. So one way to solve for this is to divide the landing into 5 phases so that we can take a kind of a granular look at what's going well and what's not. We're gonna divide it into the approach, the round out, the flare, the touchdown, and the rollout. Really in the landings, I want to make sure that he's rounding out at the right height, that he's protecting the nose wheel, getting the nose high enough so that he's not banging it into the ground, and make sure that he has a visual reference point, like the Lindbergh Reference, to get directional control when he cannot see over the nose. So you can kind of see here looking at the 182 what I'm talking about. I mean, it might look subtle from this angle, but imagine being in that cockpit. You are definitely looking on an upline here, even with all 3 wheels on the ground.
Right runway, heels on the floor, temperatures and pressures are in the green. Takeoff power. Temperatures and pressures are in the green, speed increasing. Rotating.
Right rudder. There you go. Try to anticipate that when the airplane comes off.
So the first part of the rotation and the last part of the flare are pretty much the same sight picture. You have to have a place to look to get the data about yaw, and that's here using the Lindbergh Reference. You'll see later in this flight during the flare how that reference point is critical to Paul getting the nose high enough to protect the nose wheel. And just like that, we were off on this recurrency flight. Let's take a look at the arrival to Sacramento Executive and to the building blocks that made up a nearly perfect landing.
Good night, South with 7.
November 4 Charlie Kilo, do you want to do the procedure turn at wager?
I can see the airfield.
Okay, good.
Thank you. November 3 Tango Zulu, verify you have information Zulu.
We have Zulu, 123 Tango Zulu.
Thank you.
So you heard which runway they're using over there?
20.
Okay.
2, I've bugged it already.
Is it right or left traffic?
Actually I don't know, but let's find out.
Paul's I don't know there got me thinking about an arrival briefing. When I fly IFR, I use the 5 A's, and the more I do, the more I think they're pretty appropriate for VFR flying as well. Here's the list of them.
Probably not going to be the quickest way to find out. If you're using a paper chart, look at the airport symbol. If it doesn't say RP, then it's left.
Yep.
If you're using ForeFlight, then you just go into the runways right there.
What does this pink 1000 mean there?
That's the altitude that you put the vertical nav.
Yeah,
that this pink vertical nav is set to go to.
What about the ground speed on this?
Ground speed is...
Contact exact tower 119.5, good day.
It's you, 119.5.
119.5, 123, Tango Zulu.
It's configurable.
Pardon?
This is configurable. Somebody took it off. I can show you how to configure it.
Exec Tower, Skyline 123, Tango Zulu, inbound with Zulu.
Skyline 123, Tango Zulu, exec tower, and a left downwind for left traffic, runway 20.
Left downwind for left traffic for 20123, Tango Zulu.
Dutch 02 kilo, runway 20, cleared to land.
This in the AUX pages, MFD data bar fields.
Alpha, runway 20,
go over to that
Charlie,
window.
Delta, cross runway 12 at Charlie.
Okay.
And 02 kilo, clear to land.
Instead of, say, track, I want ground speed.
Got it.
I got it there.
See.
PFD is not configurable.
Number 2 following a Duchess on left downwind and beam the numbers.
Number 2 for runway 20, 700.
Okay, 2,600. I'm moving the prop forward.
And we're looking for that traffic 87
Mixture enriching in. Brakes are off. And in fact, let's just do done the descent thing. Brakes are off, undercarriage is fixed, mixture is fully rich, props fully forward, fuel both tanks selected, quantity is sufficient, temperatures and pressures are in the green, there's no carping on this aircraft. Not clear to land, he wants us to enter left downwind.
Alright, let's start to look at Paul's landing here because while not perfect, it's pretty darn good, and it started with a stabilized approach, as all good landings do. A constant airspeed and the use of an aiming point. You can see here that he's aiming for just past the first runway stripe, right about here, and when some other point about 100 feet in front of that begins to disappear under the dash, he will start the process of rounding out into the flare. For more on this, check out jacobsonflare.com. Now, the flare is the process of transitioning the weight of the aircraft from the wings to the main wheels. You want to stall it onto the runway at the exact moment the main wheels touch. And I'm really looking for him to protect the nose wheel, so he has to have a good visual reference. In the 182, he'll never get the nose wheel high enough if he's trying to see over the nose. So he has to use a different reference. He has to use the Lindbergh reference over here on the left side of the window to maintain directional alignment and drift to control his position over the center line. And that's the next step. During the touchdown, you want to make sure that you touch down straight with the longitudinal axis of the airplane lined up with and over the center line of the runway. You don't want to just let go of the nose the moment the main wheels touch, but you want to fly the aircraft all the way to the tie down. So for that purpose, we analyzed the rollout, making sure that the aircraft is being flown to a complete stop. Now, I am aware that Paul was doing, a few too many control inputs during that landing, but all in all, I saw what I needed to see to make sure that he's going to be flying the 182 safely, that he's getting the nose wheel high enough, that he's using the proper visual reference. So during the rollout here, ATC comes at him hard. Do not let them push you around. If you're on the runway and you have no time to think or write anything down, exit the runway, clear the hold short line, stop the aircraft, and deal with air traffic control.
Via Alpha 123 Tango Zulu, and we'd like to taxi back.
Skyline 3 Tango Zulu, runway 20. Taxi via Mike, cross runway 12 at Mike.
Cross 12 at Mike. And what was the taxiway?
Says 3 Tango Zulu, say runway assignment.
Sorry, runway assignment is 20 and cross 12 at Mike.
He said taxi.
3 Tango Zulu, roger. And what's your request for departure?
For departure 123 Tango Zulu, we'd like straight out with flight following back to San Carlos via Sausalito VOR.
San Carlos, roger.
Do an after landing. Don't let ATC sort of push you around. And if you don't hear what he says, just ask him to say it again. But just so you know, he wants to hear where he cleared you to and how you're going to get there, right? All right, So we got a
He
diagram.
didn't tell me to talk to ground, did he?
Did not. He said taxi 20 via Mike
Yeah,
and cross 12 at Mike. You're in the only hot spot on the route right here.
So Mike's there.
Right here? Yep.
So we taxied back for departure, and watch how much better Paul's takeoff is here, having reviewed that Lindbergh reference.
Cessna 1 Charlie Alpha. I do have the release now. Hold short of runway 20. Be just a moment.
Yeah, you're pretty much straight.
Hold short, runway 20. 1 Charlie Alpha.
I'm just waiting until I'm actually on the runway.
University traffic, Skyhawk 6074 Foxtrot at 4,200 feet.
Feet on the floor.
In northeast of the airport, we will fly over the runway.
Take off power set.
University traffic.
Cessna 6074 Foxtrot exact tower. At what altitude will you be overflying the airport?
Rotate it.
Actually, we end up speaking on the wrong frequency.
There you go. That was
so
better.
we would like to switch to another frequency.
For rudder.
6074 Foxtrot.
74 Foxtrot,
Jason,
frequency change to your
Sorry?
discretion.
I just said that was better for rudder.
Much better. Yeah, world better. Yep.
Alright, aviators, that's all for this video. I hope you got something out of us searching for the ever-elusive perfect landing. And don't forget that when you're transitioning to the 182, it's so much about protecting that nose wheel. We made our way back to the Bay Area where the beautiful summer fog was rolling in. For those of you that follow me on Instagram, you know I call that my IFR playground, some of the best IFR training in the world. Now, Paul and I are going to be taking this exact 182 out to Oshkosh next month, and we will be making vlogs along the way, so stay tuned for more. A huge thanks to the sponsors and to the patrons for their support of this show. Without that support, these videos just wouldn't be possible. Also, a big thanks to Michael Bizarre. All of the music you hear is composed and performed by Michael Bizarre, so thanks to Michael for that. And a huge thanks to you for downloading this video. Please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the alert bell so you get notified of uploads, and share far and wide with your friends. I'm Jason Miller. Until next time, be safe and fly your best.